Welcome to ChiroSphere, where we talk about all things chiropractic and some things not so chiropractic. I'm Dr. Ray Foxworth, your host for ChiroSphere and CEO of Chiro Health USA, the network that works for chiropractic. Today on ChiroSphere, we're joined by Dr. Nathan Unruh, a visionary leader, successful entrepreneur, and seasoned chiropractor whose mission is to help people live lives of abundance and purpose. With decades of experience in chiropractic and business, Dr. Unruh has founded multiple companies, including QUVR, I'm assuming that's Quiver, Sidecar, and 5-4, and is widely known for his innovative approach to personal growth and practice success. He's an author, speaker, consultant, and host of Beyond the Bricks podcast, where he inspires listeners to break through barriers, unlock potential, and embrace new growth opportunities. Whether coaching chiropractors or mentoring entrepreneurs, Dr. Unruh's work is about transforming lives through mindset, vision, and action. I've personally been a client of Dr. Unruh's and Sidecar, and I will tell you I am forever grateful for your work and Dr. C's work in guiding me through the transition of my practice to my associates. Um, you guys helped structure a deal that was fair and equitable, and I hear so many horror stories about people trying to make that transition. And I mean, you just really made a huge difference. So, with all that, welcome, my friend.
Great. Great to be here, Ray. It's
All
really
right.
a pleasure.
Well, listen, I'm going to jump right into to the most important thing. I heard you're getting a buffalo tattoo, and it's such a powerful image. What's the story behind? I think I know the story behind the buffalo, but what does it represent to you personally and professionally?
Oh, well, okay. First of all, I don't
You
have a
weren't expecting
tattoo.
that, were you?
I keep teasing my kids. I'm gonna get it. If I get a tattoo, it's gonna be a buffalo. Being from the plains of South Dakota, buffalo is they've been running and roaming the prairies for a lot of years. And I love the idea of the buffalo because I think it's a good metaphor for life. So when we see storms coming in off the prairie, what cattle will do in contrast to a buffalo is they'll turn away from the storm and run. Well, the storm always gets them, right?
Yeah.
Always gets them. The opposite, the buffalo, they turn into the storm, knowing that if they turn into the storm, they're going to get through it much faster. Well, I don't know about you, Ray. I've been like the cattle too many times in my life. I've run away from the storm and it's always ended up getting me. So it's just a reminder. You see buffalo around me everywhere. It's just my reminder of every day. Face the storms. Face it with courage. Face it with boldness. You're going to get through a lot faster.
Yeah. You know, when we have challenges, and we all do, there's a certain dread that comes with digging into the challenge, getting it solved. But what I have found, much like you have, is that it is so much better when that's in your rear view mirror. You
Yes.
know, while it's difficult to go through it, the sooner you confront, the sooner you try to solve the problem versus, just hoping it goes away or I'll ignore it for a while. It always turns out worse. It is. I love that metaphor. And if I were to get a tattoo, and by the way, my son's an amazing tattoo artist. So if you'd
Well,
like to come to Mississippi and go to
I
Blackmore,
love it, man.
I'll have him fix you up with the brother-in-law deal.
I love it. I love it.
So one other question. Will it be hidden or visible?
It would be hidden if I get it, but I don't know. I'm just going to keep my kids kind of thinking I might do it.
That's funny. So you've run multiple businesses along with your chiropractic career. We were just chatting before we got on. We're both serial entrepreneurs and repeat offenders in that area. What really had sparked your passion early on for entrepreneurship, or did you even know you were doing that?
I don't, I would guess that, the word entrepreneurship is now kind of a cool thing today. And I never even saw myself truly as an entrepreneur, but I always had a zest to create and build something and finding new problems to solutions, which is really when you look at entrepreneurship, that's what it is. Find a problem and then solve that problem. And so I just always fallen in love with what is the new ideas? What's the creativity to come up with new ways to solve problems for people? And
Yeah.
and you know what? Started in chiropractic, really. I think when we went to chiropractic school, we all had a similar desire to help people. Well, they forgot to tell us in chiropractic school that first and foremost, we're small business owners,
Yeah.
primarily, not just a doctor. And that's where I had to fall in love with this idea of being a small business owner and what does that really mean? So I would say if anything, Ray, I was thrust into it because after being in early on in practice and things weren't going the way I wanted them to go and they weren't going as fast, but yet I had all the degrees to show it. I got the education, spent all the money, but it wasn't clicking. And until I realized, hey, Nathan, you're a small business owner. You're a business owner. You better set business systems and procedures and build a business based upon a great patient experience each and every time. That's what got me going in the whole idea of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I have this conversation over and over with other folks on the podcast that, I don't care how good of a chiropractor you are or whatever your field of expertise is. If you don't know how to market and you don't know how to manage the business, you can be the best in the world and you are going to struggle mightily. I remember my mom and dad were both chiropractors. I remember literally going to Parker as a kid, and I remember somewhere along the way hearing, "Just take care of the patient, and the money will take care of itself." That's the biggest bunch of bullshit I have ever heard in my life. I didn't realize it at the time, but just taking care of patients, we can do that because we have that clinical skill set to do that, and we have great outcomes. But to make the statement, "Don't worry about the money; it'll take care of it," that is just that's just wrong. And because if people don't know what a P&L is, and there was a time when I couldn't spell P&L, you know, if you're not able to go through the numbers and know your numbers and know what the cost of delivering a service is or the cost of acquiring a new patient, um, hope is not a strategy, as I've heard said. Our profession has really struggled compared to some others. If you go into a medical practice, there's usually multiple doctors there. They've got an accountant, they've got a coder, they've got a biller, and you walk into chiropractor's office, and the chiropractor's the X-ray tech, the front desk staff, I mean, you see the same things I do, and I don't know what the solution is to that.
Well,
Other
let's
than
stay right there for a minute because I
rules.
think you and
Yeah.
I can rant on this for a
Oh,
second.
yeah,
Is so let's Here's the first thing I would, if I had any piece of advice, now been doing this and talking to thousands of chiropractors, go fall back in love with what you do. Go fall back in love with chiropractic. Stop chasing the shiny objects. If they're going to chase anything, chase a business model. Don't isolate yourself. Raise your hand. There's enough of us out there that've got the bumps, bruises, and the scars to say, hey, guys, the correct business model with clear accountability, develop your confidence, understand some transparency of like understanding what a P&L is. And it's not a profit and loss statement. It's a people you love statement. Because if you don't take care of the people you love or your P&L, you can't take care of the people you love.
true.
And I'm amazed that like anymore, we are so bullish with our clients, Ray, that send me your P&L. I fine number of patient visits a week or how much you're collecting per visit. Give me your P&L. I want to see how you're running your business. And once we can get that and we can put our big boy, big girl pants on and say, you're a small business owner. And here's the cool thing about it. What I've just said, fall back in love with what you do. Do you realize, Ray, that 85% of medical doctors, roughly, it's a high percentage either way, is they don't have autonomy anymore.
No, they don't.
They are merely the technician, which is not a bad thing. but I don't think that's what we want. I know that's not what I fell in love with. And as you and I tease each other about entrepreneurship, I wouldn't have it any other way. I like my autonomy. I like the ability to have my own small business. And if we look at what cranks the economy in the United States of America, it's small businesses. It's businesses just like chiropractors.
Yep, no doubt. So you've clearly been successful in a number of areas. What is an area or a venture that you failed in? And the reason I ask that is I have found that that's where I usually learn the most important lessons.
Yeah. How much time you got?
Yeah, words serial entrepreneur does not necessarily mean successful serial entrepreneur. I mean, I've
Yeah.
experienced it.
I'm going to wrap a lot of my failures into an overarching theme.
Okay.
And that overarching theme is when I lost focus on what I do well and what I can master and I can be a thought leader in, and I'm also passionate about it, meaning I will suffer for it. The minute I get off of that path and off of that lens, it hasn't gone well. I've made investments in businesses. I've made changes in my chiropractic businesses that I wasn't really truly an expert at it, but I saw dollar signs. And so I did it for that reason without really saying, is this going to fit the business model or is this just another shiny object?
Yeah.
I've failed over and over again of investing in the new niche, the new buzz versus, hey, Nathan, why don't you follow the advice of like a Warren Buffett? Know what you do, focus on what you do, know when to say no, and stay persistent. Don't try to be occasionally great, be consistently good day
Yeah.
in and day out.
You know, you, it's almost like we lead a parallel life. Um, we've been around at Chiro Health now for 17 years, and I will tell you that over the years, you know, when you build a network and you got X number of doctors and X number of patients that are part of it, you know the story behind why I started Chiro Health, got reported to my attorney general, and I had to figure out a way to solve that issue of the dual fee schedules and all of that. But as we grew and became successful in that business, I started looking at, well, what else can we do? And during all the COVID stuff, I invested a lot into a telemedicine company because we thought it would make money. I didn't start Chiro Health because I thought it would make money. It was a real problem that our profession had, and it kind of took off. And I had a passion for making sure docs didn't go through what I did. But Nathan, every time I have pursued something and it wasn't in line with our core values, which is to improve the quality of lives of our doctors, their team, our team, and their patients, I have lost money every single time. Not that it might not have been a good business model or a good plan, but the prize was the money. And I'm sure there are people that just love to make money, and that is their goal, and that's fine. But I find it is so much easier to be a success at something when you truly have a passion behind it and a why, kind of like what Simon Sinek says. You know, what's your why for doing what you're doing? You know, I have paid much stupid tax
Yeah.
uh, over the years when I get distracted from being on purpose.
Yeah. So let's go back to you brought up Parker seminars. I'm a brown bagger.
Yeah, yeah,
As the you giggle, you know what that means.
I do indeed.
Yeah. So I mean, family vacation when I was a little boy was a Parker seminar.
Yeah, I jokingly tell people I had a drug problem as a kid. I was drugged to Parker. I was drugged to state association meetings. I was drugged to,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Right?
just
We had no choice, right?
yeah,
This was we had no choice. We were brainwashed. But I still think about, my dad was involved in the Wilt case with Sportelli in that. And so I got to read about that. And then even most recently, the newest book, The Contain and Eliminate. And if
mhm,
you go back and really read our history and our roots of what chiropractic is and what we've withstood throughout the years, it fires me up. And it's also the reminder of going, They can't take what we have away from us. We are our own worst enemy right now by losing that focus that you just spoke of, right? Not only do we lose money when we chase those things, we lose time and energy and reputation dings, right? So I think just getting our docs also, you talk about failures, and I love that question because we always want to talk about our successes, don't we? One of my biggest failures, Ray, was the day I walked in and I got a business that was growing, multiple clinics, and my controller, just I use that word controller because I was that guy that had such an ego that I needed a controller. Really? No, you didn't. But here's what happens. He says, Dr. Roder needs to talk to you for a minute. And I said, yeah, what's up? He says, we're going to have a tough time making payroll this month. Now, keep in mind, this business was generating $3 million a year. You're going to have a tough time making payroll this month. I said, well, just take it off the line of credit. Well, Nathan, that's the problem. The line of credit's maxed. I go, what? My $200,000 line of credit is maxed? So this was early on in my career, and I was like, at that moment, embarrassed. I didn't sleep for 90 days. I'm like, how did I let this get to this point? But it was that wake up call for me that said, Nathan, you don't even know what a P&L is. You just say, let's see more people, charge more money. Let's figure out the next fancy, shiny object. And it was then at that point in time that I had to learn subtraction, right? Getting laser focused. And then when I started to read the business books and learn from people that are further ahead down the road than I was and actually be humble enough and quiet my own ego, that's when the changes started to begin, right?
Yeah.
And I see that so much today in today's environment in chiropractic. We're more isolated today as chiropractors than we've ever been. I mean, you and I, when we go to the brown bag events, the Parker seminars, or we go to our state association meetings, or I'd get together and play cards with my colleagues. Those were ideas and camaraderie together. We've lost some of that, don't you think?
I think, unfortunately, we've almost lost all of it. Again, our experiences are similar. I remember once a month, my parents and all the other chiropractors in our district got together, if no reason other than just to get together. And there was not really a sense of competition among them as it was support and encouragement. And hey, I'm doing this. It seems to be working. And so, uh, you know, call it an early mastermind group. But the families were together, the docs were together. And we absolutely have lost that. I've often said we've never been more connected and communicated less than we do today. And it is there is something about that in person, one on one, or one on a group with a common cause, getting together and just being there for each other and learning from one another. It can help you avoid paying stupid tax, like I said. Um, yeah, so we've lost that. Yeah, there are Facebook groups out there and large groups, of people in there. But unfortunately, a lot of them seem to be bitch and moan sessions. Uh, and I get that. There's a lot of frustration going around, just in general. Um, but I think what you said, getting back to your purpose and your passion and focusing on the big idea, as they say, or whatever your big idea is critical. And then making sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are walking the same path as you are. Uh, Ideally, some that are further ahead, some going to be behind. And I wish we could figure out a way to get back to that, Nathan. Otherwise,
So let's talk about that for a second. Tell me if you agree with me with this. And I'm going to get real practical for a minute for the listeners. I'm going to get real practical. What is the average salary of a chiropractor in the country today? Somewhere in the $80,000 a year, 80 to $100,000. Okay. Now that takes in everybody, the highs and the lows. Now, if you look at it, $250,000 in the average student loan debt, well, the math doesn't work.
yeah, the math doesn't math.
Okay. But here's the math that works. folks. A business model focused around chiropractic, truly chiropractic. The number one thing that still drives our economic engine is still the chiropractic adjustment. Nobody can take that away from us. Doesn't make the other things wrong, whatever vertical integrations those there are. But number one, a systems and processes that are focused around that. Number one. At a business of $500,000 in revenue generated a year, 500,000, and if you took your P&L, your profit loss statement, and you ran this structure, 50% to overhead, 30% goes to professional comp, meaning the doctor or doctors, and 20% falls to the bottom line. So as you're listening to this, stay with me for it and just think about that. 50, 30, 20. That means 50% on a $500,000 is still your money. That's $250,000. That's more than 2.5x what the average chiropractor does. Now, reverse engineer that at $500,000. We're not talking about a high volume practice here. We're talking about clean, full business that can generate all the dollars that you can imagine to pay off your student loan debt, to create an amazing life. And I'm just talking at a $500,000 business. Does that resonate with you? And what does that do to you as I say that?
Yeah, it does. But I think most of us over the years have thought, well, I'll add this service, I'll add that service. And when we've seen reimbursements go down for the adjustment codes, the reality is, even with them lower like that, if you're just focused on doing that and the patients are being able to come in and out of the office pretty quickly,
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, I've had shoulder surgery, I've had knee surgery, and it is a pain in the butt to go somewhere 3 times a week or 4 times a week for an hour to an hour and a half, and people appreciate speed. They appreciate you recognizing their time is important as well. And at the end of the day, the adjustment is what's helping people get better. And so why not focus primarily on that?
Yeah. Well, and again, those other things are okay, but again, getting a simplified business model, because what we just are talking about is that example. That's 150 patient visits a week.
Yeah.
That's $60 per visit. The tool I love that you guys created at CHUSA is the calculator.
Yeah. The overhead calculator.
Overhead calculator. As you're listening to this, go to the CHUSA website and go do the overhead calculator, because that is the kind of things we need to be talking about more, right? That's giving you the tools to develop the business model. You know how many P&Ls I look at on a weekly basis that you would say, oh, top line 1.4 million, lost $56,000. I go, what? But you then start going through it, the chart of accounts, not understanding the chart of accounts, not knowing where the money is going, and in subsidizing with their chiropractic part of their business, all these other things that they've added to the business, thinking it was going to make them more money, which they got very top line focused and bottom line ignorant.
Yeah. That,
Right?
that is so very true. It doesn't matter what you make. It matters what you keep.
100%.
There's your business class for the day. The end. Well, hang tight while we take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Welcome back to our podcast with Dr. Nathan Unruh. We're having a great time. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Nathan and I sure are. We could talk for hours.
I've always enjoyed talking to you, Ray. I always come away with something.
Yeah. Yeah. Even sometimes, what the hell was he thinking, right? So
Yeah.
you're a chiropractor, entrepreneur, coach, podcast host. How do you manage these roles and still stay focused?
Great question. So, it's probably a better question for my wife, because she says he doesn't, is probably what she would say. But you know what? One thing I've learned over the years is really doing a time reflection exercise. And I think it's good for, even as everyone listens here today, do a time reflection exercise. So I will tell you that I work 50 hours a week. I've sometimes less, sometimes more. I like to work. I think work to me is the best form of worship. So it's like God's given me some skills and talents, and so I enjoy it. And as long as I continue to enjoy it, I'm going to continue to do it. I sleep probably 7 hours a night, so that's 49 hours a week. And then I probably spend 2 hours a day in exercise, eating, just taking care of myself. So when I look at those hours, and I got to add them up here, is that's 49 of sleep plus 50 of work plus another 24 of personal care. That's 123 hours a week. Well, if I take 168 hours, which is my inventory for the week, minus 123, that means I have 45 hours, Ray, of discretionary time to do whatever I want. When I do that exercise, first thing I do is like, no, where's all my time going then? When I do it with some doctors, they look at me and go, oh, what about I go, well, back up, dude. It's not a judgment exercise. It's a personal self-reflection exercise. So what I do every 90 days, right? And this is a long way around answering your question, is I do a time reflection exercise. Exactly what I just said to you. And I look and write down every 90 days, look at my calendar. What am I doing? Is it giving me energy? Is it taking away energy or neither? Do I need to do it, dump it, or delegate it?
There you go.
And it's amazing because every 90 days, something leaks in again, I should be doing. Or I look at it and go, why in the world am I doing that? So what I've learned, and again, this is a lot of coaching, mentoring, and reading of a lot of books. If you haven't read the book, Buy Back Your Time, go read it. Game changer. And then I'm going to give you a few books here. Road Less Stupid. Wish I would have read it 20 years ago. Also, A Minute to Think. I've disciplined myself to spend more time thinking than just doing. And that has been very helpful for me. And it's more about getting rid of things, not adding things. So that's how I manage it now.
Less is more.
It's an ebbs and flow though, Ray. Some 90 days I do really good. There's other 90 days because things come up, family issues, health crises. But I think the discipline is monitor your number one asset, which is time.
No doubt. You can steal people's money, you can steal their possessions, but one of the worst things you can do is steal their time. And that statement really applies to us. And I am a big fan. You can ask our whole crew here. I am a strong believer in delegating and elevating, to the point that I focus on what I do best, and anything that doesn't bring me peace, pleasure, or profit, I don't need to be doing it. It is,
Yeah.
I can hire people to do those things.
Okay. So let's hold on a second. I don't want to miss it because you said delegate and elevate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a line out of the book Traction by Gino Wickman.
Okay.
And it simply is a process of, you know, one of my favorite sayings is, I can do it all. I can do it all well, but I can't do it all well at the same time. And that's I jokingly say, I was always putting out fires before we plugged in the entrepreneurial operating system. And what I found out was I was the arsonist. I was the one causing the most problems. And anytime I try to do something that is not, really doesn't bring me passion or pleasure, and I may not be the best at it, that's such an energy drain. I mean, it just wears you down. And the sooner you can realize what you're good at, you should focus on. What you're not good at or simply don't like doing, do your best to try to delegate that off of your plate, because the highest and best use of your time is in those areas where you are most productive. You are in the zone. Otherwise, I mean, you can work an 8-hour day and be in the zone and not be tired. You work an 8-hour day doing medical reports and records review and answering insurance company questions, and at the end of the day, I mean, you just wore out. It,
Yeah.
it doesn't bring you any pleasure. So,
So
uh,
let's stay there for a second for me. Because you just rattled off a number of things. I was talking to a doctor the other day again, and we were having this conversation. This doctor's average average patient visit is $60 a visit, and he can see about 10 patients per hour. So I said, okay, do the math. 10 times 60 is that means your per hour opportunity is $600, right? I said, would you pay one of your techs or your team members $600 an hour to do your documentation? Well, hell no. I go, why are you doing it? It's that flip and mindset though, right? Because how many things are we doing in our practices that are $20 an hour work or less in some cases
Yeah.
when we should be providing hope, providing treatment, providing the love and care for our patients?
Yeah. My good friend Aaron has this analogy about, here you are with the ability to generate $600 an hour, yet you're going to take off Thursday afternoons to go mow your lawn. That's kind of, that's kind yeah. I mean, you've only got limited time and the time to produce revenue during your office hours. If you're doing it and doing anything that doesn't generate revenue, try to figure out a way to get that off your plate. I'd say the same thing. Let's just talk about billing for a minute. We've all had great CAs that turned into billers or vice versa, and they were great employees, but you let one of them leave you, and it is chaos. And the reality is, if I've got a full-time employee whose job is to do nothing but insurance, I mean, that's great if that's the model you choose, but I would rather have all my team members helping generate revenue rather than chasing the money. And so, just like with the lawn cutting example, if you can delegate that job to an outside biller or outsource your bookkeeping to a fractional CFO. Get the people that can help you focus on generating revenue rather than it being a cost center. I mean, you know, there's just so many things that we do in our offices that cost us money when we ought to be focused on every minute that we've got there to be able to generate that income. And you'll make more than you ever thought you would if you're always generating revenue versus always filling out paperwork and scribing your own notes and that kind of thing. It doesn't, as Aaron would say, that doesn't even make good nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know what? What you just described there is the whole reason we started Sidecar. I was having pain in my own practices and tried to solve it. And, when we look at our business today, it's a managed service organization providing billing, providing coaching and development for the teams and the doctors on developing the right systems and developing their business acumen. We have a bookkeeping service because a lot of doctors don't have a good bookkeeping and working off of that 50-30-20 structure. So looking at all of those things exactly like you said, Ray, first of all, I go hire somebody, I'm not the expert at it, but yet they're going to learn from me. Go find people that do those things well and focus on what you do well. Turn that 600 an hour into 1,200 an hour, right? I mean, because that's really truly the opportunities you have.
No doubt. So you do a lot of coaching. What would you say is the most common mindset that you see blocking and holding people back? And how do you help them overcome that? Because I remember Larry Markson years ago said, success, it's all in your head.
Yeah. Yeah. So three things that we'll talk about a lot is mindset, skill set, and habits. And so mindset for a lot of chiropractors, what we find is they're not proud to be a chiropractor. And that probably may bother somebody when I say it is that stand tall. You're unique as a chiropractor. You have earned the right to take care of lots of patients and make a great living. There's a mindset out there of a poverty complex. So
No doubt.
getting that poverty complex out of their head. There's the mindset of lack of humility. They're not being a learner, not being open to learn, not really being vulnerable and transparent. Once we can shake those cobwebs of those things of a mindset and they become now show up to now let's improve your skill set and now develop the habits around that, that's when we start to see some just amazing things happen.
You hit on something that I mean, I remember even my parents talking about this in the late 60s, was that poverty mindset. And when you look at, what could possibly be some of the root causes of that, um, I don't think that people that choose to go to chiropractic college are automatically have a poverty mentality. But I want you to think about what happens to our students when they're going through clinic, they're taking care of patients, and the patients are having to pay $2 or $5, and the students know that. And so if that's what you're exposed to during your training, and then you got to go out and say, well, I'm going to charge 50 or $60 a visit, but wait, unconsciously I've already made the decision, because the patient did, that it's worth $2 to $5. No damn wonder they have a problem. If I could wave a magic wand, one of the things I would do is I would go to every chiropractic college and find out, do you bill third party insurance? Do you bill PI? Do you bill workers' comp? Are you involved in the healthcare system at that level? Because otherwise, you're teaching the students to devalue chiropractic during their training, I think.
You know
And
what?
if we
Right,
don't
that's a great point.
if
I've
we
never
don't
thought about it that way.
yeah,
You're right.
if we don't place the value of it on it during our training, man, what an impact I think that has over time. When I look at the, University Medical Center, VA, where I worked for a while, the dental, uh, medical or the dental school here, every daggum one of them are involved in third party reimbursement. So from day one, those students in the medical arena are being exposed to billing and coding and documentation. And and they know that their services are being billed out at hopefully at a decent rate. It's not a free service. It's not a $2 service. It's not a $5 service. They are involved in healthcare, and we have such an artificial environment that we're training our students in. Nathan, you ever wonder why? I've been doing this a long time. My mind is boggled when I think about how many courses are out there every time there's a state association meeting on Medicare documentation. There's 3 damn codes. How can it be that hard that for decades, we're teaching how to document in Medicare? Why is that? Because we didn't learn documentation in college, because our notes weren't shared with any other healthcare provider, because we never had to present notes to a third party payer. And so, no damn wonder we've got a poverty mindset.
Oh, that's so
Sorry,
true.
that was a rant.
That was a good rant, right? That was a good rant. Well, let me give you something here for the listeners here, is that there's 2 books, because I think, Ray, what you're hitting on is something so important for us to rewire our brain, right? The Psychology of Money, great book. Book written by one of my business partners, Dr. C. 7, The Proven System for Handling Your Finances. Both of those books changed me, because we're not taught about our relationship with money.
No,
We don't talk about it enough. So your relationship with yourself, your relationship with money, and your relationship with others. We have to intentionally work on those 3 things. So I think you bring up a good point, is that think about that wiring that takes place in the student, and they don't even know what's happening.
no, they
Some of the
don't.
very things that how you and I grew up in our families, how we were wired. So we got to take a look at our own BS belief
Yeah.
systems,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
no
change
doubt.
some of those mindsets around it.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah.
So we're kind of coming around the bend here. What's next for you? What excites you the most about chiropractic in its future and entrepreneurship? What do you see happening?
You know, I'm super excited about what's happening in our world today. I think we're living in really an unprecedented time with what's happening in the world of uh, AI. Looking at the technology and the innovations and some of the people that we see out in the marketplace. I'm excited for our profession, because the nice, cool thing about AI that they can't take away from us is what I would call authentic interactions. So AI, artificial intelligence versus authentic interactions. It's still chiropractic done by hand, right? We still get to touch our people, look them in the eye. So I'm excited about the chiropractic profession. I'm also excited about chiropractic profession because we're at a state right now that we need a little disruption. I think we need to go back to some of our roots and understand some of the very things that was so well documented, contain and eliminate. Let's fall back in love with who we are. Let's maintain our autonomy of who we are. And let's what and this is the entrepreneur in me now, right? And I think you and I both would agree with this statement. How do we get people stop isolating and come back together and start talking?
Yeah.
We're
Uh,
more alike than we are different.
yeah. I had an opportunity, Jay Greenstein and I did to facilitate a meeting with the Chiro Congress and the Chiropractic Summit. And I opened the comments with I think there are two things that bring people together, even adversaries. One of the biggest is an existential threat, like getting written out of Medicare that happened years ago, or a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yep.
Those are the two things that will even take very diverse groups and have them come together for a greater good if it's a big, hairy, audacious goal. But the other thing that does it, like I said, is that existential threat. It is why it is that way. So I don't know if we need an existential threat to pull us back together. If we're smart, we'll realize we don't have to have a threat. We just really ought to be getting together so we don't end up having an
Agreed.
existential threat. And I'm going to go off on this as one of my other favorite rants. It really bothers me that only about 25% of our profession belong to either national association, and the numbers are around 50% of the doctors belong to their state association members. Guys, if you want a recipe for ending up with an existential threat, sit on the sidelines, don't be a member, don't get involved. If you don't want to get involved, that's fine. Send dollars to those that are willing to go out and do the work on your behalf, because otherwise we are going to see at some point some existential threat that will threaten all of us. And you can't fight a war when 25% of the troops show up. It's just kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So let me go there and let me piss some people off right now. You all right with that?
yeah, I do it routinely, apparently.
I agree with you 100%. Get involved. You know what? Be a member of state association. Be a member of the people that are doing the work. Also, those of you that are running the state association, the national organizations, give us a reason to show up. You have to change as well. We've got to change together, right?
No
So
doubt.
and that's innovation, man. That's entrepreneurship.
Yep, no doubt. Well, I
Yeah.
got some just for fun questions.
Okay.
Who's your hero and why?
You know what? My hero is my Lord and Savior, Jesus. You know what? I just reminded Lord I got an audience of one. And if I can wake up each and every day and focus on what he wants to do in me and through me, and I can lead by his example, he's my hero.
That's a good day.
Yeah.
What talent do you have that most people don't know about?
Oh, you know, it's a great question, right? I would say the thing that people would tell me and that I do enjoy is I'm a disruptor. I will disrupt thinking.
That's awesome. And what's the worst job you ever had?
Walking beans.
What?
Walking beans.
What?
Walking beans in South Dakota. We had to sit and walk beans and go out to the farmer at 5 a.m. and we'd walk beans and pick the weeds out of the beans. So I said, you know what? My dad would say, well, now you got a reason to go get an education. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Walking beans was probably the worst one, or throwing hay bales. That was right up there, close second.
Yeah, again, I'm amazed at our parallels. I didn't walk beans, but I worked in a catfish hatchery and pond. So, if you know anything about catfish growing, they put these big milk containers in the bottom of the water, and that's where they lay their eggs. And so you have to go in and scoop them up with your hands. Well, you're doing this all day long, but there's this one guy that sits on top of his truck with a 30-06. You know why he's doing that? To shoot the alligators. While you're in- So
Oh my gosh, you're
I can
kidding
still
me.
see Mr. Sun King sitting up there all day long with his rifle, and he wouldn't let them get too close to us. Sometimes I think he was just screwing around with us, but that
Oh,
That's the importance of a team.
Oh my gosh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, what a great
yeah.
experience.
So I had a great motivation to go get an education, and my aspirations were beyond shooting the
Yeah,
30-06. So,
I love it. I
all
love it.
right. Well, let's wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for spending some time with us today, and thank you all for listening to the ChiroSphere podcast. Please subscribe and share the podcast with your friends. Let us know who you'd like to hear from in the future and what topics you'd like us to cover. We'll do our best to deliver. Doctors, if you're offering discounts of any kind in your office, you need to ensure you're not breaking state and federal rules and regulations on dual fee schedules, inducements, and any kickback violations, which can all lead to serious fines and penalties. We can help eliminate these concerns by using our profitable discount strategy, which ensures that any discounts you offer are 100% compliant and, most importantly, profitable. There's no cost for you to join our network, and the first step starts with a no cost, no obligation phone call to find out if we can help you, like we have thousands of other doctors nationwide. Many of our doctors have seen a 20% increase in their revenue and a 50% retention of patients who are part of our network. And that's 4.3 million patients today. We've had, over the last 17 years, we've had over 17,000 chiropractors. And as I said, 4.3 million patient family members get the care they need at a cost they can afford. If you want to increase your revenue and retention and practice with more peace of mind, call us at 888-719-9990 or visit our website at chusa.com, that's CHUSA.com, to find out why Chiro Health USA is the network that works for chiropractic and you. Thanks so much, Nathan. I enjoyed it, my friend.
Appreciate you, Ray. Thanks for all you're doing.
Everybody have a great day.